I have 110 already, so let me get my 10s up.
33, 3 tens, 3 ones.
Okay, if I was going to use discs, what would I do to show that on my paper? If I wanted to add...
I have 2 tens.
Where should I put them?
In the tens column.
And now what's my new number?
33.
Who agrees with Gerardo?
Just take away the 1.
Take away the 1 and do what, Gerardo?
And plus 3.
Okay. The shift in second grade from past years is that students need to have more understanding of numbers. What's happening with numbers, how to manipulate numbers. So rather than just completing an algorithm, 34 plus 74, they need to be able to demonstrate many ways to show that.
I'm done. I did every way possible.
Oh man, that's a lot of ways. What I like is that I'm seeing students shift from, I don't know how to do this algorithm, so I can't do the problem, to, I can't solve it that way, let me try a different way. And then let me solve it 2 or 3 different ways so that I can check my work.
I did error notation, so then I did this. So 13, so I know that 2 plus 1 equals 3. Then there's 3 plus 0 equals 3.
I communicate with my parents very frequently, probably weekly emails. At the beginning of each module, I send home a short parent note saying, here's what we saw when we were kids, and here's what your kids are seeing now, and here's where it's going to happen. Here's how it's going to come together later. Because all of the things we did as kids are going to happen for our kids. The difference is now my kids know what they're doing when they borrow a 1 from the tens column. Love it. Can you answer that with a complete sentence so I know what your final answer is?
To do this right takes a lot of thought, and it takes time, doesn't it? This is not something that you can just rush through as fast as possible. Okay?
And I know that I need to subtract.
It was challenging at first, but now they've built confidence in themselves and they can clearly see that we're just asking them to explain why they approached the problem the way they did and how they did it.
It will cost $249,600 to prepare the field for next week.
When I read the question, I knew I was going to multiply 225 meters times 1 and 8 meters.
I tell my parents, it says right there on the cover of my math homework, it says, this is going to be hard. Parents have absolutely expressed some discomfort, to put it nicely, but you know, we have a lot of support available to those families. On my blog, I have links to the videos where they can go watch a little section of it being taught, because they don't understand the why a lot of times behind the math, and when they can't do it, that makes them frustrated. I think it's going to take a few years for parents to see the shift and how in a 5th grade math group, how that's going to help their child when they're sitting in their 8th grade math group.
The legs are interchangeable, but the hypotenuse, again, is crucial. Share with your neighbor why you think you got the right answer. Instead of an inch deep and a mile wide, it's more in depth in concepts and content, and the kids are learning the why a mathematical concept works. And so that they can, rather than just get the process and do it 100 times, they're learning why mathematicians in history have proven something like the Pythagorean theorem, why it works. Right? It's upside down, it's twisted, but it's still easy to identify where is the hypotenuse. John, come on up. A little more difficult. The rigor is different and more difficult for them to grasp, but ultimately it can. I've seen good things happen in terms of now they know why it works. So learning the concept first before the process is good. And so once they've got a good grasp of the concept, the process just comes naturally and a little more easily.
We're going to take that today and we're going to use it to apply to real-world scenarios. We're going to model real-world scenarios using quadratic functions. There are a number of shifts in math at the high school level. It's difficult when we first begin to implement this instructional shift. And because they have grown up, like a lot of us grew up, on an old instructional paradigm where it was very much teacher-centered, it was very much sit and get. But what about the kind of math they used? Another key shift, and one that you see a lot in my classroom, is a shift towards student discourse. And having students not just get the right answer, but be able to explain what their thinking was, justify their claim. They turn and talk, they work in groups, they look at the reasoning of others, and they use what others have done to learn. And A lot of those things might sound familiar to the layman because those are the skills of the workplace. And I think that that's the answer, is that ultimately this is better preparation for where their kids are going.